What's up guys, welcome back to the shop. In today's video I'm going to be making a knife using this drive chain. I've tried it before but it didn't really come out right, so hopefully this time it comes out better. Here I'm just going to split the chain because I can't bend it to make one, solid piece. And I'm welding it together to make it easier to forge. What you see me welding the chains to there at the bottom is going to be my edge steel. It's 52-100. And I'm going to be starting my forge welds by making sure that everything is nice and flux. There's a lot of empty space in these chains, so it's important to keep it as clean as possible. And I'll start my forge welds with my hammer, slowly hitting it back and forth, trying to compress it as much as I can. Like I said before, there is a lot of empty space, so it's actually very soft and very hollow. And hollow is the definition of empty. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, I'm making sure that it's nice and clean, and I'm gonna forge weld it by hammer as many times as I need to, as long as I feel like I consolidate it into a solid piece of steel. And as you'll find out shortly, this doesn't really work out the best way, and the reason why it didn't, at least the reason why I believe it didn't work out as I had planned, is because, as you can see, the top of my billet is losing heat faster than the rest of it. Because I didn't weld it on the top, I should have welded those two together, and that would have helped hold everything together. Maybe run a bead of weld across the sides as well in the center to really hold everything together. That way it wouldn't just completely start peeling apart as I went at it. Here you can see that open gap that was in there. That gap is what causes me problems down the line. A better option would have been to go with a canister build, but I felt like I could get away with doing it like this. I could not. I've seen other people do it like this and they've gotten away with it, but apparently I'm not good enough for that. And I don't think a hydraulic press is the best option for doing something like this. So here I'm cutting off the piece that peeled off, and I'm getting rid of it. The two ends did seem to forge weld better, but I did have that welded with MIG welding, so that I think that helped hold it together while it was being forge welded. So here I'm just trying to straighten it back out because it got a little too wavy, especially at the bottom. You can see I have a lot of different notches from the way it was being forged, which is normal. It happens in every billet, but since this one is so weird, it's kind of scary to forge down on it. And as you can see, it's starting to peel off that layer again, the next layer that's coming down. So I try to reforge weld it by fluxing it and hitting it with the hydraulic press again. And here I'm gonna draw it out with my drawing dies, my less aggressive drawing dies, trying to get it down to about a quarter consistency all the way through. Alright, so we're out of the forge and I had this big old hiccup right here, which pretty much this guy separated, this guy separated, and now it looks like crap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this whole side off, and I think I'm going to make a jig, or not a jig, but a kiss block, to, because this right now it's probably at a quarter, and I'll make a kiss block for an eighth, and we can forge it down to an eighth, and then we can, grind something out of this. Hopefully save it, because this side looks a lot better. Well, not really. It's cracking. You know what? Screw it all. I'm just going to grind it. I'm just going to grind it as flush as I can, and we're going to see what we got. Because so far it's looking like crap. Now the knife has been profiled, I'm just straightening it out. I heated it up in the forge, just a low red heat, and I'm making sure it's nice and straight because it had a little bit of a bow while I was working on it. Alright guys, so I got my holes drilled. I did set up the camera and thought I was recording, but I'd never hit record, so there are the holes drilled. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle a couple times and I'm going to go on ahead and quench this knife. The reason why I'm leaving it so thick is because I'm 100% afraid this thing is just going to explode and, you know, cracks everywhere. So hopefully that helps. Overall, I mean, it looks kind of cool with this like tooth pattern up top or whatever the hell it is. Overall, I'm going to try to make the best out of this and clean it up. That way we got a cool looking knife. It is a dud, but it'll be a cool little dud. Alright guys, so we are out of the temper. The knife is looking pretty good. It's got a teeny weensy little warp in it still, but I'll fix that with the carbide peen hammer. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a bath in some muriatic acid to get all the scale off. And I'll straighten it back up and we can start grinding on this bad boy. This is why I kept working on it, because I like this little teethy thing. It looks pretty cool. Other than that, it's probably going to be a piece of crap with a sharp edge. And here I'm using the carbide peen hammer to make some divots in the handle and different little parts where it's warped. I'm actually hitting the inside of the warp and not the outside of the warp. And by hitting that area, I'm actually making divots that displace the steel. And that causes the steel to warp in the opposite direction, which causes it to realign and straighten back up. Now that I'm done with the surface grinder and cleaning up the steel as much as I can, there's a lot of cracks in there, but there's nothing I can do about that. That's going to be running through the steel because of all the inclusions that the steel has. And when my bevel's ground, it's time to start working on the handle. Here I got 2 pieces of Paduke wood. It's a very nice, beautiful wood, especially once it's oiled up. And I'm using it for my handle material. Here I'm just marking my rough outline and I'll drill my holes. I don't know why I'm marking my outline before I drill my holes, because it could move, but I make sure to keep it roughly in the same area, so no big deal. And for those that say that I am being very negligent and have my fingers very close to the blade, I am playing this back at very high speeds. I actually cut this very slowly, and I'm very careful with where my fingers are at all times. And here I'm just gonna take a 60 grit belt and I'm gonna shape up my handle as much as possible. I'm gonna be etching the whole knife, but I'm gonna be doing the handle afterwards, so I'm probably not gonna have any etching on the spine, but this just helps me speed up the process. That way I can prep the handle while this guy is in coffee. And by prep my handle, I'm referring to sanding the bolster area of the handle material before I do my glue up. It's important to always sand that up to the final grit before you glue up, because that reduces the risk of you sanding in there and scratching up your finish on your knife. And right now, while we are in our etching and our coffee, I would like to ask you guys to like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content, if you've been watching it. If you like it and you haven't thought about subscribing, now is the time to do it, and I would appreciate that greatly. And while we're on that topic, I'd like to thank you guys very much, all the new subscribers, all the new viewers that have been watching the videos. The channel has been growing a lot lately and it's been growing fast, so I really appreciate you guys for, you know, watching and commenting and, you know, all that good stuff that helps the videos get out to more people. I really appreciate it. Without you guys doing that, I could not be growing the channel as fast as I can, and I will try my best to be, you know, making cool stuff and uploading as often as I can. Lately I've been sticking to 1 video a week, and I'm trying to stick to that. That's why I switched over to Sundays, because that way I can work all of Saturday and work into the night if I have to get the knife done and the video edited and everything for you guys. So I'd just like to, you know, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Now it's time for us to sharpen our knife. I'm doing a 220 grit sharpen and I'm building up that burr. And as I'll show you right here, that burr is very big. And I'll strop it down on my strop a couple times, knock off that burr, and we got a nice sharp knife. Even at 220 grit, you've got a very sharp toothy knife. And here's a final look at the finished product. I really like the little toothy thingy thing, whatever's going on up there. It looks pretty cool even though it's full of cracks everywhere and it has some voids that you can see the light through. That aside, it's probably not the safest knife. The edge steel is really what's holding it together and it's pretty sharp. I'm really enjoying the look of the pins in the center and all that cool contrast that it has. It looks really cool. And I'm going to be trying it again next week in our next video, but I'm going to be doing it in a canister and making sure it comes out the way it's supposed to. And fingers crossed that works. I'm still debating if I'm going to use powder or not, but I will be using it in a canister. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.